How do you think AI is going to affect how you handle sales for your company? Some say AI could replace the sales industry altogether, but I am very skeptical, which is why I decided to enlist one of my friends, Dylan, to join me today and talk about it. Dylan is a fractional sales leader, trainer, and recruiter who has managed over $22 million in revenue for his clients and trained over 500 sales reps. Let's see what he has to say about AI taking his job.
Welcome to the Buzzworthy Marketing Show.
Welcome to the show, Dylan. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, Michael. Good to see you, dude.
It's good to see you, man. It's been a couple of weeks since we talked last. For disclosure, Dylan and I have known each other for now almost a year now.
We have been going back and forth for a long time, yeah.
Yeah, at least a year, right? At least a year.
Sales call turn friendship, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is. It's amazing how all that works out.
Yeah.
I don't even remember how you got my information. Maybe it might have been a LinkedIn outreach or something like that. But as we said in your bio, man, you are the sales team guru, right?
Yeah.
In that fractional space of helping people build fractional sales teams and stuff like that. But the last time you and I talked, we were talking about AI and how it's impacting sales. And you said some pretty cool stuff, which I'm going to let you actually lead the conversation on that. So I'm going to just ask the simple question of like, how are you immediately right today seeing AI affect the sales industry?
Yeah. So, I mean, the way I look at AI is it's something that's going to help you do something more effectively and more efficiently. So thinking more in terms of how can this help me become a better salesperson instead of the fear of like AI is going to replace me. It's like AI will replace people that are replaceable, in my opinion, like in all industries, right? Like if you're someone who's not able to be replaced, AI can't replace you, if that kind of makes sense. So it's like, as long as you're good at your job, you're diligent and you're doing things that AI can't really do, I think your job's pretty secure. But if you're doing something that is replaceable, then you are in fear of being replaced. But if you're a salesperson and you're worried about AI, I would just start to think of it and repositioning your frame of like, how can AI help me become a better salesperson? Like scripting, right? And the one thing that I really like to do is like, who's your favorite voice that's famous in sales, right? Like you can tell ChatGPT to be Oren Clough, right? Like you are now Oren Clough GPT, and then all of the questions are now coming through the lens and the tonality of someone that you respect in the space. So you can start to reuse the Oren Clough GPT a lot if Oren Clough's watching this.
Right.
But like you are now Oren Clough GPT. Now, how would you explain this thing from a marketing perspective? Or how would you write this cold email script or this cold call script? Knowing the principles of someone that you respect in the sales space is actually going to help you really do your job faster and more effectively so you can get to selling faster. As well as like uploading PDFs so it can start to understand your sales metrics, make you a smarter, more intelligent person, uploading a PDF, Excel spreadsheets, like, look at my last month's numbers, like what data, what findings can ChatGPT find that I might not be able to find or takes me a lot of time to find. So
I love that. I think it's like, we keep hearing it over and over. The people who are in the know are saying, the ChatGPT and those types of AI are great for ideation. They're great for research. And we almost sound like a broken record player, but it seems like a song we have to keep singing over and over again, like row, row, row your boat. Like it's a never ending song because people keep getting barraged by marketing that's out there that says, hey, we can replace your agency. We can replace your sales team. We can replace your setter. We can replace your bookkeeper. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Yeah. And, I've been going down the rabbit holes with these things because this whole season's been dedicated to AI. And I want to be able to tell my audience, like, these are the things that I actually think that you can use to whatever it is. And I haven't found any of the ones that I suggest replace anybody. They augment, right? They're like you're talking about, you're using it to sharpen the axe of the salesperson, right? You're there to better the human being. And I think that if we could just get that out there, marketers, and I'm a marketer, so I unfortunately I'm surrounded by marketers who love to ruin things for the rest of us, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a purist, I'm a fundamentalist when it comes to marketing, because I feel that that never changes. Like if you read fundamental marketing books from centuries ago, the fundamentals have not changed.
Nope.
The tactics we use to exercise the fundamentals completely
Yeah.
changed, because how we communicate has completely changed. AI is not going to uproot the fundamentals. I'm sure it's a lot like that in sales, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like, so a good example of this is the more educated you are on AI, the more you
Mm,
can augment. The
mm,
more you embrace it, the more you allow it to help. The more
mm,
that you meet it with resistance, the more that it can replace it, because you're not trying to, get with the times, right? Like if you think about like Blockbuster and Netflix,
right.
like Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix, and like now everyone's going to continue to come in and buy, VCR, DVDs and things like that. Like you're either going to get with it and go
Yeah.
along for the ride, or you're going to meet it with resistance and maybe have a worser outcome.
Right.
So understand how can you use our AI to augment what you do as a salesperson. What are the things that if I didn't have to take that much time, I could focus on more revenue generating activities, right?
Mm,
That's usually like metrics, KPIs, scripts, prospecting. Um, a lot of people struggle with like finding their ICP. Like ask
mm,
ChatGPT. It can take so many data points in
mm-hmm,
instances that would take you forever to do. And like, especially like with marketing, I invested into a program with a buddy of mine, Nick. He's a copywriter.
mm-hmm.
Copywriters are nervous about AI because it can write copy for you, but he actually runs a program and a coaching program on how to use AI to become a better copywriter and how to
Mm,
fill in those blanks and understanding how to prompt AI, right? The
right.
more educated you are, the more you can use it to your advantage versus disadvantage.
I think that that's so important to hear, right? Like professional copyright. Copywriting is one of the few things that I think tools like ChatGPT do really well. That and emails, right? But it's still a matter of those who are good at it already, right?
Yeah.
They're making themselves better, because
Yeah.
there is a human element that the computer's not going to understand yet. Now there is the super intelligent artificial super intelligence ASI coming down the road, and then you get the generative AI, which is like tomorrow, I think. Any second now we're going to get the AGI coming in, right?
Yeah.
And those will change slightly, but again, I think that the fundamentals will be there, and the fundamentals of copywriting and the creativity. I keep telling people like what you were saying is like you get the ideas. How would my idol do say these things? But that doesn't mean you just read that, because you're going to be inauthentic on your phone call if you're
Yeah.
just taking the scripts that AI gave you, that's modeling what somebody else has already said. Ingenuous. It's
Ingenuous. Yeah.
disingenuous. That's it.
Disingenuous.
Disingenuous, and it's unauthentic. And authenticity is kind of a cliche word nowadays, but it is. I wish we had another word that would replace it, so that we can get back to it. But it's honest, right?
Yeah.
It's real, and real people buy from people, right? And when people
I'm
try
not
to
going to get around
use
that.
robots to do things. Now, what do you think about like using AI in the follow-up sequences and the nurture sequences, and in helping really personalize automation that's already out there for those purposes?
So one tool that we use that I absolutely love is called Clay, CLAY. So
Mm-hmm.
essentially what Clay does is it uses AI, like you give it a LinkedIn profile, and it enriches it using AI for all of these data points, specific things that they have, like company accolades, or like if they just got published in Forbes or Inc. 5000, and it creates spreadsheet rows of like all this wealth of data to do prospecting for you. Then
Mm-hmm.
as a salesperson, you can then use those custom fields to personalize messages. So you're using, again, AI to augment your personalization, your
Love it.
follow up to make it more relevant. It does the dirty work. you make it look good with your own sales expertise. And what was I just going to say when you were talking? I'll come back to me. But I was just trying to come across of like exactly what you're talking about is like the more this is it. The more that AI is becoming apparent in conversation and in social media and responses,
Uh-huh.
the more opportunity to stand out with actual human to human interaction, right?
Mhm.
Like if you're on social media and you see on LinkedIn, most of the replies, someone put that post in ChatGPT and asked ChatGPT to spit out a response, and then they just copy paste it and send it. And it's like super informative, Dylan. Like that's just not. I know that's not you. I can look at your profile and you don't use the word informative a lot. So it's like you can actually now use AI to your advantage to be a human because it's
Right.
like, oh my God, thank God he's an actual human. Like
Right.
you're
I
kind
think
of like,
that's a
it's
good point.
cyclical.
Yeah. I think that I think that Gen Z is already showing the signs of unplugging and going back to human interaction. I think Gen X have embraced they're the generation that embraced technology. I'm a Gen Xer, and we use technology in everyday life, but we don't make it our life. We don't make it our personality, right?
Yeah,
I know so many of my millennial friends that they're nothing without their phone, you know?
yeah,
And some people come to me and are like, hey, I was just with a friend in DC yesterday, and I drove like 2 hours to be in this meeting, and he slacked messaged me or messaged me in Slack, however you say it. And I'm like, dude, I suck at Slack. It's like, it's not part of my
yeah,
communication. Like it's on my phone, but I didn't know that group wasn't installed in Slack. I didn't know I had to, right? So like, each generation I feel is getting is staying true to how they were brought up, right?
yeah.
But I think Gen Z is going to break that mold, like you said, and kind of come full circle in like, hey, I don't mind having a dial-up phone in my house because that means when I'm out with my wife, I can spend time with
Yeah, I
them and
just
not
got a
worry about
second
it.
phone for that.
Say what?
I have a second phone that's just call, text, internet, and like
That's
Google.
it. They have cell phones now that only have like a calculator, a
Yeah,
text messenger, and a phone. That's it.
yeah,
And it's a white background with black letters, and I want to say some of them are flip, and that's it. And I
yeah,
think that we're getting to that because of all the noise. Going back to what you said earlier when you're saying you start sounding like everybody else, I think it's important that the audience that hears that when people are asking Chat GPT or any of those types of tools, I'm going to use that as the generic because most people are using it. So when you're working with ChatGPT, it's pulling, everybody's asking the same question, right?
yeah,
If you're in an industry and you're trying to do XYZ. So if there's 100 Dylan type people out there going, how do I make my sales pitch better? Right? They're all asked the same question, and a lot of them have the same heroes. So they're putting in the same prompts, and the ChatGPT is pulling from the same database. And I think
yeah,
it's really important to understand that AI right now it is regurgitating what it has collected. It is the freshman in college that looks things up and then synthesizes it in different words so it
Wikipedia.
doesn't plagiarize. It's not plagiarizing, right?
Yeah,
But it's not creating anything new. Like that's where the generative AI, which is knocking on our doors, might get there. But to me, I think that imagination is the human gift. It is what makes our soul our soul. And I'm not going to get too woo on you here, but it is what makes us human, right?
essence.
What
Yeah,
we all have feelings, and we can teach robots to have feelings, but it only knows the feelings we tell it to like or to
yeah,
have, right? Where humans, we create things out of thin air from our own experiences. And those have not been yet, because we haven't been shipped yet, have not been cataloged in a database for AI to feed off of yet.
yeah. I hope not. But yeah, I mean, to your point, like it's a tool.
Hmm.
A CRM is a tool. A
Right.
dialer is a tool. Sending software is a tool. Software is a tool. Slack is a tool. So if you just add it to your toolkit, you're just going to be more well equipped.
Hmm. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. And I think that that's what you're seeing a lot of is like, I was just making a presentation I did in Dallas last week, and I used Prezi to make it like I usually do. I just love the interaction with it and the movement, but then they have AI in there. So I was able to pull in my outline of my talk and pick a template that I liked, a theme that I liked, and it
Yeah.
said, okay, here you go. And it got to be about 60% of the way there,
Yeah.
which is a
I
huge
use
time
Gamma. It does
saver,
the same thing.
right? Huh?
Yeah. I use a software called Gamma. It does the same thing. It's like a
I just saw Gamma.
AI with like Google Doc type situation, and you can like give it a prompt and it will visualize. It'll just make it look nice.
Is it
um,
now? Does it work pretty well? Because the way that they advertise it is that it does all the work. What do you think of it?
it does a good chunk of work,
Okay.
and then you have to tweak it, right?
Yeah.
So it does AI, and then you have to make a human.
Right. I
uh,
love it. Yeah. I
yeah,
think I just ran across Gamma a couple weeks ago, about 2 weeks ago, actually, and I haven't played with it yet, but I was
big fan.
thinking that would be good for some simple slide decks, if you're using like Google Slides or, Microsoft PowerPoint or any of those types of things. I'm like, okay, this could be a quick way of getting a bunch of slides together that you only need, say, a dozen, maybe 2 dozen slides for a quick, talk or something like that. So it's good to hear the feedback that I think it's a lot of the same. Like how
Yeah,
many times have you seen the ones, the apps now? They're like, use AI to write a book in 15 minutes.
yeah, that's gonna be a good book.
It is horrific. It is.
Yeah,
I'm like, this is good. I mean, I'm an author, right? And so as an author, we want to see what tools can speed us up, right?
yeah,
Because there are things that you don't want to have to do the research and iterate sometimes and stuff like that. And for the most part, they absolutely suck. Like,
yeah,
don't spend the $250 or $1,500, whatever they're offering to help you. If you think you're writing any length of book, past 30 pages, I would say. So anything past an ebook, you're not writing it in 15 minutes.
no.
You will rewrite most of it if you know what you're talking about. Now, I'm
You'll
sure there's
get what you
people
put
out
into
there
it.
who are letting it write whatever it's going to say, go and make sure it sounds okay, and then push it out as their own. But those people are going to get sniffed out very
Yeah.
quickly, right? They're going to be
Well,
fine.
there's like tools now, kind of like plagiarism tools, where you can put it in and it will tell you if it's been written by AI. There's
Some of
tools
them.
now. Yeah.
So there's AI now. So I have a friend who has a long form content creator, right? And it actually passes those
Hmm.
tests for blogs and articles. So I think
So
for
it depends.
every
Yeah.
sniffer out there, they're going to get better, right? And
Yeah.
that's just the way of the human, the human nature, if you will, right? It's like you're going to have the people who are like, I want to sniff out the fakes, and then the other people are like, we're going to beat the system, right? And it's going to
Yeah.
be back and forth, which makes the technology better, actually, if you think about it, right? If you can get an AI to write in a way that an AI sniffer can't, it is more human like,
Yeah.
right? But I also think that comes down to the inputs you put into it. So if the lazier you are, the more apt you are to get sniffed out, right?
Yeah.
Now, one of
That's
the
what
things, now that you brought it
knowledge,
up, go ahead.
your expertise and your knowledge of how to utilize AI.
Right.
That's what
Mindset
comes down to.
and all that good stuff, right? Like like your lens is your lens. And nobody's had the exact experience as you have had. There are many that have had similar experiences, but none just like yours,
Yeah.
right? And our expertise is a culmination of random things that happen in the universe, right? And that's what makes us so unique, right? So I agree with you there. Oh man, I just had thought of another one when you were saying that, but I love the point that you made there. But is there, besides scripting and maybe the research you said, I love how you brought up the, like, put in your data from a month's worth of calls and maybe
Yeah.
even the recordings and or transcriptions and all that other stuff, and then just start asking the AI questions about, where do you see positive trends? Where do you see negative trends? If you were this sales coach,
Yeah.
what feedback would you give me? I love all of that stuff right there. Is there anything else that we
I mean,
should be either adopting now in AI with our sales process, or maybe looking here in the near future to see come from AI to help us with sales?
So a big thing is like how marketing and sales, right? Because everything is data driven. The more data that you have, the better decisions you can make inside your business, right? Some of these things that you can get from ChatGPT, given the data that you provided, can actually like drastically increase your revenue.
Hmm.
So like an actual use case that we've done recently is we have a client of ours, we work with fractionally. They have a type form application. It's got like 12, 14 questions. And essentially, you're able to download all of the type form responses in a specific time period. So we do it on a month by month basis. So we can start to understand that, okay, analyze all these responses, right? Some are multiple choice, some are short answer. You upload the CSV, you tell ChatGPT, find commonalities, right? Like what percentages of which answer are we receiving? And then we can go back into the HubSpot CRM from the revenue that we closed, go back and correlate, okay, the large subset of our revenue is coming from applications that have these answers. Now, when these answers are coming into our funnel and these applications are being submitted, we can better route those applications to the correct salespeople so we can actually optimize our revenue based on the data that people are giving us and our understanding of how important those data points are. So by doing that, we increased revenue by like 20 or 30% when we started to implement that, just knowing more. Because like we were like, oh, like whatever they say is their revenue is our leader indicator. But actually, it was a different answer that we weren't even looking at because ChatGPT was able to analyze that. And it was like 85% of our clients from that month said this answer. And it had nothing to do with revenue. It was like a goal. Like, what is your goal with working with this company? And all these people had the similar answers to it. It was a short answer question. It wasn't a multiple choice.
Hmm.
So we turned it into multiple choice so then we can start to track it and push people towards a desired answer in the funnel. And that was all because ChatGPT, because I was not going to go through like 3,000 type form responses and be like, just give it to ChatGPT, you do the dirty work and I'll make the right decisions based on the output.
You're giving me an idea. Now, tell me if this exists.
Yeah.
Is there a way to take that information and then do like matchmaking for the right prospect to the best personality to talk to on the sales call?
Over time, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. How cool would that be? Like talking to salespeople that you actually will get along with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I
that
was just
actually
on a
has the right
sales call yesterday.
personality traits. Yeah, it's actually a good idea. You would need to assess the salesperson on a specific questionnaire
Right.
to then categorize your salespeople and then
Mhm.
understand over time what applications, probably what salespeople are having the highest close rate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you could do one of those personality tests. There's a new one that's like based on 9 personality types. And I can't remember what it's called,
Yeah.
but I'm sure it'll come to me and I'll text you when I think of it.
Yeah.
But then you can ask some like qualifying questions in a conversational type of piece on the survey side for the client when they're doing their questionnaire, right? And then it's like, okay, now you are qualified. You hit that 85%
Yeah.
answer that you guys were looking for. What personality type would be best for that? And then shoot them over to that person,
Yeah.
and that
Good
so
luck.
they're both having a better conversation, right? That is, maybe they're a helper, right? And it's like, oh, you're a number 2. You're best suited to talk to 7s and 5s. Okay, cool. Boom. They get those. And then it's like, oh, you're a driver. Okay. The people who like need a kick in the pants, those are the people you need to talk to because you do that really well, right? Like that would be really, I mean, this is like kind of probably more of a mid-market enterprise level
Yeah.
type of tool, but I mean, how cool would that be?
And I think the big thing is like that's a cool use case. But I think the overarching thing to think about if you're running a company or running a sales team, ask more because you have more functionality and capability, right? Like I would have never prompted my brain to be able to understand that large data set without a tool like ChatGPT. So I mean, the biggest problem with data is that you don't know how to implement it or how to understand data. I'm sure that everyone listening to this call has a wealth of data set that you have in your CRM, in your marketing, in your whatever. like think about how you can start to ask more of that data given a tool like ChatGPT that can do it in like 30 seconds. You're just opening Pandora's box of like capability, because you now have this supercomputer at your fingertips to be able to analyze data more than a human being can. And it might take them like a month to do that data analyzation, where this takes 30 seconds. So ask more, you know?